The NFL schedule has been out for a couple of weeks now, and as such, odds makers have been putting together their models for who could do what this coming season. Here's what the odds for the division winners in the NFC look like. The heaviest of the favorites, Tampa Bay in the NFC South, minus 330. Green Bay just over half that total to be Kings of the North yet again. Longest odds, well, that goes to the Falcons in the South, plus 2,500 as we sit here today. Seattle not far behind that, plus 1,600 to win the West. Let's discuss these future picks with Mr. Football Game Plan himself, Emory Hunt. Let me start by asking you, when you see the odds in May, and based on what can happen between now and week 1, is there more potential value sitting out there now, or is it more risk?
It is more value now, especially if you understand rosters. I think that's a fantastic question you asked, Jeremy. When you understand rosters and talent acquisition, and a lot of people need to see it before they saw it already, is a saying I like to use. And if you understand what teams are doing and where they're building, you see all sorts of value right now. And you want to jump on it now before people start to catch up after preseason. And once they start to see things play out, like, oh, wow, this team can actually be good. Let me grab the value right now, but it's too late. So if you see something you like right now, it's like art. You better grab it, put it up on your wall, and reap the benefits later.
All right, well, let's get into it. Let's look at the NFC East to start. First off, here, not a lot of people talking about this division because, I mean, not a lot has happened here. Dallas are the favorites, but Philly made a big move in getting A.J. Brown from Tennessee. I mean, they're sitting at plus 185 to win the division. Who do you like here in the East?
This was the hardest one I had to go through because I can flip a coin and make a case for Philly or Dallas, but I'm going to go with Dallas. I'm going to play it safe here with the Cowboys because they have more experience being in that role. You talk about Dak Prescott. You have Ezekiel Elliott, who's not going to be healthy. You expect the offensive line to be much better. I like the addition of James Washington coming at wide receiver. I think he's a replica of Michael Gallup, a guy that's a vertical goal player that can go up and get the football. And tight end position is going to be solid. You get Dalton Schultz back healthy. You also bring in Jake Ferguson. And I feel like their defense is just a little bit more of, hey, I saw this already, more so than Philadelphia. You like the pieces Philly has added, and I do think Philly will get to the playoffs this year. They may even win 12 to 13 games, but I feel like right now Dallas, to me, would be the safest bet to go in the East.
All right, the NFC West, the Super Bowl champion LA Rams are there. They are the favorite. The 49ers are sitting right behind them. Are you riding with the champs, or do you see something else in that division?
I'm going to ride with the champs. Last year, I was all over the Chargers, and they looked to make me look like a smart guy earlier in the season when they were running through everybody. Then all the brakes fell out, and they start to go on that slide. But the Rams, to me, look like the least amount of questions going into the season. You hope Matthew Stafford can stay out there for a full 17-game season because I still worry about the depth behind him. They have to get that cleared up in the preseason. But overall, you add Bobby Wagner, you bring in Allen Robinson, you still have Cooper Kupp. The offensive line will look a little different, but I think they'll be solid there. And you still have Aaron Donald up front controlling a lot of things along the line of scrimmage. So for me, with the Rams still having a lot in place and adding some pieces there, I like where they're going.
I mean, plus 135, and you have to think, I mean, with the things that they've been able to add, they are the Super Bowl champions. You'd have to think. I mean, from a Super Bowl pick, I think they're just getting disrespected right now. I'd certainly find some value there. The NFC North, I mean, that's been owned by Green Bay for a few seasons now. They've won the division for the last 6 years. It's hard to bet against A-Rod in the pack, but Devontae Adams is gone. You get the sense they're possibly at the end of a cycle here, Emory, but, I mean, still the favorites, minus 180. Do you think Minnesota is closer than the plus 275 that they're currently getting?
Minnesota has Kirk Cousins, and shout out to Kirk Cousins because he's a Hall of Famer in the negotiating room more so than he is on the football field. 59-2 as a starter, so I can't trust him to overtake the Packers. However, when you look at Green Bay, everyone talks about Devontae Adams leaving. That's a huge loss to their offense, but let's be honest. They bring in Christian Watson out of North Dakota State, a vertical threat going deep down the field. Romeo Doubs out of Nevada is another vertical threat. They can get deep down the field. They still have two of the best running backs in the division, so I love the way they're set out offensively. Defensively, I'm a big fan of their secondary. They can take the ball away. I know they'll be able to get more pressure now. Devontae Wyatt, the rookie out of Georgia, comes in up front and helps get some interior pressure along with what they're going to do on the edges. So for me, Green Bay is still clear-cut and above the best team in the North.
Now, I was hoping to just get a little love for the Vikings here, Emory, but, I mean, you're not wrong. Okay, so that leaves us with the NFC South. When Tom Brady retired, we thought, okay, maybe this opens things up a bit in this division. And then Tom came back, and the Bucs are now the heaviest favorites to win their division. They're the heaviest division favorite in the league, Emory. What do you think about that?
Man, if Tom Brady didn't come back, I was going to put the Tampa Bay Bandits ahead of the Tampa Bay Bucks because they had a gaping hole at quarterback. But right now, you have to like Tampa. But listen, New Orleans is the team to beat in this division. They have already proven since Tom Brady has gotten there that they're not afraid of the Bucks. They're not afraid of Tom Brady. And if it wasn't for Jared Cook's tender forearms, they would have beaten them in the playoffs and probably gone on to the Super Bowl. So I like New Orleans here. That defense got even better than it was last year. Offensively, they get better by getting back America's quarterback, Jameis Winston. They added speed at wide receiver. Chris Olave, you bring in Jarvis Landry to go along with Michael Thomas. It's going to control the underneath area. You got Hardy going deep down the field. Deontay Hardy, who changed his name from Harris to Hardy. So you have two good deep threats out there on the perimeter. And with a quarterback that loves to throw the deep ball, the Saints, to me, are the scariest team in the NFC South, and I had them winning the division.
Emory, how much money have you already put on Jameis Winston winning the MVP next year?
All of it. I put all of it on it. Listen, had he not got hurt last year, he would have probably thrown 40 touchdowns. And you know what's funny about that? Folks bring up, well, he threw 5 touchdowns against the Packers. It was fluky. Okay, but he threw 3 interceptions in 7 games. How about we talk about that? Jameis, with corrected eyesight and great vision now, is a completely different quarterback. This guy was throwing what he did prior to having his eyes fixed. Now he has them fixed with the LASIK surgery. We're getting a fresh new look at Jameis Winston. He's getting a fresh look at the football field. I'm all in on the Saints win this division.
Oh, and he's looking good in his videos too, and he's doing all the, he's making all the moves there in those videos. So I mean, he's looking good. He's looking good. Maybe it's a good pick for this year. All right, let's talk about win totals. Which team in the NFC are you looking at? That's a good bet to go over their projected win total.
If you would have asked me this before the draft, I would have said I wouldn't have picked this team. But looking at what they've done since the draft and also adding in free agency, how about the Falcons going over 5.5 wins? You draft Drake London. You bring in Marcus Mariota. You draft Desmond Ridder, who's sort of the same player as Marcus Mariota. You draft Tyler Algier, the running back out of BYU. And you also bring in Brian Edwards from the Las Vegas Raiders, a tremendous wide receiver. So your receiving core looks a lot better now with Kyle Pitts, and now you have a good versatile backfield with Cordell Patterson, Algier as well. You bring in Damian Williams. Defensively, I'm a big fan of Troy Anderson. I think he has a chance to start opposite of Deion Jones. And we know about Grady Jarrett in the secondary. You have A.J. Terrell, who's one of the best young corners in the game. You expect someone like Richie Grant and Darren Hall to take significant strides forward in year 2. I like what the Falcons have done so far. And to me, going over 5.5 wins seems to be a lock. So I like the Falcons there. They're going to be much more competitive than what people are giving them credit for.
Plus 150 to go over the 5.5 wins. And you'd have to think there's possibly at least 6 wins on that schedule. The favorite to win the NFC title game, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, again. Green Bay, the Rams, right behind them. Who's your pick to win the NFC?
Listen, I'm going to go back to New Orleans. I love what the Saints are doing. This defense can get pressure. They can take the ball away. They got better in the secondary by bringing in Tyrann Mathieu. You look at what Marcus May can bring when he's healthy out there, but you also have the luxury of having a P.J. Williams back that they re-signed, who's versatile enough to play corner and or safety. And up front, you have Marcus Davenport, you have Cam Jordan, you have David Onyemata, you have Tano Passanio bringing some depth as well, Kentavious Street. So this defense to me is going to be top 5. And on offense, with Jameis playing efficient football, Pete Carmichael has been there since 2006. He has been the OC since 2009. So not much will change from an offensive perspective. And now you look at that defense being even better than it was last year. I think with this in mind, this team has enough to go through the NFC this year.
The Saints are 20-1 to win the NFC, and Emory, Jameis is 150-1 to win MVP. What do you think about that?
First of all, he is my MVP because he is one of the best personalities out there in football. But when you think about MVP odds, we know it's a quarterback award. And if the Saints are doing what I expect them to do, then you can expect Jameis Winston to be at the top of that list. So Yes, right now we talked earlier in the segment about value. You could sprinkle a little bit on that MVP odds for Jameis Winston. If I'm expecting the Saints to do what they're gonna do this season, Jameis being atop of that list should be an easy bet that looks smart now in May, as opposed to, let's say, as we watch the season play out. So jump on it now, put a little bit on it, and trust that Jameis will guide you through to the top.
Hey, now's the time, right? Now's the time where we're finding value. So why not? Why not sprinkle a little on Jameis at 150 to 1? He is Mr. Football Game Plan, our Emory Hunt, discussing win totals and early wagers on the NFC. Never too early to find that early value. NFC East, he likes Dallas, plus 115. Rams, they're the champs. Take them in the West. Green Bay, Kings of the North once again. And it's all about New Orleans in the South. And all about New Orleans to win the NFC Championship. Emory likes them at 20 to 1, and he's taken Jameis at 150 to 1 to win the MVP. Well, all the storylines up for discussion on the Pick Six podcast. They'll certainly be picking winners in the divisions and the conferences and the Super Bowl. Download and subscribe to the Pick Six podcast wherever you get your preferred podcast audio. You can also watch the program on YouTube.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.